Hi friends, it's Mr. Alex from Adams Memorial Library, and I'm here for the second part of our December Inquire Within series, where we'll be focusing on Hanukkah, and specifically the Dreidel game. Now, Hanukkah is a holiday celebrated by the Jewish people, and it revolves around a miracle where they thought that they would only have enough oil for the lamps in their temple to last one night, but instead, that oil lasted for 8 nights. And as a result, a lot of the different Hanukkah symbols involve oil, or light, or something like that. Now, specifically, we are going to talk about the Dreidel game for this video. So this is a game that you may have heard of before, but let me show you what we'll need. Okay, so in order to play Dreidel, we're going to need just a few things, and the first thing obviously being that we will need a Dreidel. A Dreidel is a specific type of top with 4 different letters on it, and it is said that these letters represent the Hebrew sentence, "A great miracle happened there." So the miracle that it's referring to is the one that I spoke about in the beginning of the video, where at the Jewish temple, they thought that they would only have enough oil for 1 night, but instead it lasted for 8. The 4 letters that you might see each have different meanings in context of the Dreidel game, and let's talk about what those are. So the first letter that you might see is Shin, and Shin in the Dreidel game means to share. So that means that you're going to take a coin from your collection and you're going to put it into the center of the table if your top comes up on Shin. If your Dreidel lands on Hey, that in Dreidel means half. So you're going to take half of what's in the center of the table and put it into your collection. The third letter is Gimel, which means all in Dreidel, in the Dreidel game. And so you're going to take everything that's in the center and you're going to put it into your collection. And last is Nun, which in the Dreidel game means nothing, so you're going to do nothing. You won't put coins in, you won't take coins out, you just take your Dreidel and you pass it to the next player. So, now that we know what each of the letters on the Dreidel stand for, it's time to start playing. You're going to want to gather up your players, and I recommend having about 2 to 4, and you're also going to need some markers. So in this case, I have these coins because on Hanukkah, many people will play Dreidel using chocolate coins, but I was a little worried that chocolate might melt, so instead I have these plastic ones. You don't have to use coins though if you have something else at home, like maybe some dried beans or paper pieces or even some beads. Those all work wonderfully as markers for playing Dreidel as well. So we know what our Dreidel letters mean, we have our markers, and we have our players. We're going to take and divide our markers up evenly in between all of our players so that everybody has the same amount to start with. And then each player is going to take one of their markers or coins and put it into the center of the table. Once they do that, and you have your coins in the center of the table, you're going to take your Dreidel, and each person, one at a time, is going to spin it, follow the instructions. So for instance, I spun Hey, which is half, so I would take half of what's in the center of the table and put it into my collection, and then I would pass the Dreidel to the next player, who would then spin the Dreidel, follow the instructions that come up, and we would continue around the table. Now, the round of Dreidel will end whenever one player has all of the coins. So if somebody has all of the coins or markers, the round is done. But until then, you might run into a few scenarios where your pot in the center of the table only has 1 coin or marker, or it has 0. And if that happens, you once again want everybody to take 1 from their collection and put it into the center of the table. And that's going to make playing the game a little bit easier, and it's going to make sure that you, whenever you land on Gimel for all or Hey for half, that there is always something to take. So you'll keep doing that, going around the table, spinning your Dreidel, and following the instructions until one person has all of the coins or markers. And at that point, the round is finished. That person wins the round, and you can either say that the game is over then, or if you have a little bit more time, you can get a pad of paper and keep track of who's won each round, and then whoever wins the most rounds is the winner of the entire game. Again, it depends on how much time you have to play and what you're doing for your particular Dreidel game. But overall, that's a pretty easy, simple introduction to the Dreidel game, and I hope that you have lots of fun playing it. And at this point, I would like to share a special Hanukkah story with everybody about our friend, Curious George, who, in addition to celebrating Hanukkah, also plays the Dreidel game as well. Alrighty, and as promised, I have a story about our friend, Curious George, as he celebrates Hanukkah. Now, Happy Hanukkah, Curious George was written by Emily Flasher-Meyer and illustrated by Mary O'Keefe Young. It was also published by Houghton Mifflin Harcourt Publishing. Let's get started. George waits and waits till nighttime. Excitement starts to grow. Hanukkah is filled with joy, as everybody knows. He helps his friend get ready to celebrate tonight. He even spies some mystery gifts. Oh, what a happy sight. And there is George and the man in the owl hat getting their gifts ready with some very festive Hanukkah paper. It's time now for the party. Food and treats in tow. It's such a cold and wintry night. And wait, here comes the snow. And now we see George and the man in the yellow hat tromping through the snow. And George looks a little happier about the snow than the man in the yellow hat, although he's enjoying it too. Stars of silver all around, lots of sparkles to be found. On the table, donut dreams, sweetly fried up jelly creams. And as we can see here, for Hanukkah, they are eating donuts. Because as I mentioned before, oil is a big deal for Hanukkah, and so there are lots and lots of fried foods. Everyone gets gelts of gold, tiny chocolates, sacks to hold. Food to eat, so much fun. The Hanukkah party has begun. And so as we can see, down here at the bottom, the kids are playing Dreidel, just like we learned. His friend shows George 8 candles, one for each Hanukkah night, another tall one right on top, from which the 8 to light. The tall shamash gets lit first, then others one by one. A Hebrew prayer is chanted, and the candle lighting's done. Menorah in the window, the candles burn so bright, the perfect way to celebrate this special Hanukkah night. And as we can see, the man in the yellow hat is lighting a menorah, which is one of the symbols of Hanukkah. There are 8 candles, one for each night, and it looks like they've lit a few of them already. With the lighting done, it's time for Dreidel fun. Kids all play along and sing the Dreidel song. Dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay, and when you're dry and ready, oh dreidel I will play. George attempts a spin and shares his chocolate win. Try a trick that's neat and use both hands and feet. George eats up all his gelt before it starts to melt, but something smells so good, just like a latke should. And here we see George is using both his hands and his feet to spin a dreidel, which I don't know if that's quite according to the rules that we learned today, but George might be inventing his own type of dreidel game. Scritch, scritch, scratch, peel potato batch. Chop, chop, sigh. Oh, onions make George cry. Tap, tap, whack. When will this egg crack? Splish, splush, mess. George has 1 egg less. Uh-oh. And as we can see, George has cracked one of his eggs. Uh-oh. Mix, mix, stir. Here the beater whir. Crackle, crackle, pop. The oil's getting hot. Sizzle, sizzle, burn. Quickly, time to turn. Sniff, sniff, yum. The tasty latkes are done. Delicious latkes like a dream with applesauce and sour cream. And as you can see, despite a few broken eggs, George and the man in the yellow hat have succeeded in making latkes, which are potato pancakes for Hanukkah. Tummies are all full now. The children want to play. George is always ready and starts to lead the way. Monkey see, monkey do. They jump up one by one. Following the leader has never been such fun. But one girl jumps up so high, she lands down with a thud, and landing right down with her, uh-oh, an applesauce-filled flood. George flies right into action to clean the sticky goo. The children all still follow him and start to clean up too. In no time flat, the mess is gone, and the girl gives George a gift, a very special present that makes his spirits lift. Let's see what George got. Oh, he got a banana, which is perfect for a monkey. One special part of Hanukkah, the mitzvah, or good deed, to help our friends and neighbors, or anyone in need. First, George cleans up the kitchen with special monkey care. He works so hard until it seems there was no party there. Next, George wraps up some latkes. He makes a special plate, a little treat for a sick friend to help her feel first rate. And as they step out into the street, George sees a gentle glow. He smiles at other neighbors with menorahs in windows. George knows he'll carry with him the joy and Hanukkah cheer by doing helpful mitzvahs all throughout the year. And as we can see, George is cleaning up the kitchen, making it nice and neat as his Hanukkah mitzvah, or good deed. And on the other page, they are headed home from a successful Hanukkah party. Now, if you would like to have a Hanukkah party, just like George, we have a couple things in your Inquire Within bag that might help you out. The first is a little craft kit from our friends at PBS, and it has instructions and a bottle cap so that you can make a top of your own, which is very similar to a dreidel, and it'll help you get into that Hanukkah spirit. The other thing that we've included is a recipe card. And in the book, George and the man in the owl hat, they make latkes, which are delicious, but they do require oil, which can be a little tricky for our younger friends. And so we've included this recipe here, which is for Nudelkugel, and that is another traditional Jewish holiday food, and you can make that with your family. So definitely check those out, and we look forward to hearing how your Hanukkah party went. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and keep in mind that we are still going to have one more Inquire Within video coming up next week, where we'll learn all about holidays around the world. Don't forget that you can follow us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to get not only updates about our Inquire Within series, but all the other great programs that we're doing here at the library. If you have pictures of yourself, maybe playing the Dreidel game or participating in any other library programs, you can send them on over to kids@adamslib.org, and we'd love to see them. Finally, last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank our friends at WQED and Clearview Federal Credit Union for making this awesome program possible. See ya!